Well, hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me. This is Ros Jones, your business coach with my weekly podcast show, Bold Business Bits, coming to you from Yorkshire. This is where I have a great conversation with a phenomenal female business boss. We share some of the bold stuff they do, lessons they've learnt, adversities they've overcome, and the fun they have. And then I'll be dipping into my toolkit and sharing a top tip. Business can be lonely, so make sure you join us each week and be part of our show. Hello and welcome to episode 17 of my Bold Business Bits podcast show. This is Ros Jones and today my guest is Shelley Whittaker from Wonder and Lux. Shelley is a blogger and content creator. She's the first real-life blogger I ever met. Her background is an economics degree, working in the mining and construction industry in Perth, Australia, and now she lives in York and she's a blogger and content creator. She lives with her husband, her daughter, and her 2 beagles. Enjoy listening to her journey. So hello and welcome to Shelley Whittaker of Wonder and Lux. Hi, Shelley.
Hi, Ross. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. We also have Bailey and Nellie here, who you may be able to hear. Bailey and Nellie are the 2 beagles. So, Shelley, blogger and content creator from Australia.
Yes, yeah. I've been here for about 2 years now.
And what made you come to York?
It all came about with my husband's work. So he's working on one of the big mining projects here, or it's out near Scarborough. So we decided to take a punt and take the job. And York was probably better suited for living for us. So that's why we decided to move here.
And so how long have you been living in the UK?
So I moved here. Troy came a little bit earlier than me because I needed to finish up at work and pack up the house and sell the car and all those fun things. So I moved here in March 2017.
How has it been?
It's been great. It's not that much of a shock to the system. So there's, I can go to Tesco and still buy the same things that I want to. And my family are originally from England, so I've still got family down in Norwich.
Okay.
So we've been here quite a bit before. So the weather's not great. Last summer was much better. But we've really enjoyed the opportunity to travel through Europe and see lots of different things and meet lots of different people. So.
Fantastic. And so have you always been a blogger and content creator?
Definitely not. No, my background is mining and construction. So I've got 11 plus years experience doing that. And actually my undergraduate degree was economics. So completely different to blogging.
Wow. And so tell us about the transition. So you're at mining construction, a commercial manager, I think, in mining construction in Australia.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then so what made you take the step to become a blogger, a full-time blogger?
It all started, I think it was when we were on holidays for my 30th birthday, actually. We went to Koh Samui and I was reading a magazine and I saw an advert for a travel journalism course. So I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. You can get paid to travel. So I looked into that and I signed up to that, and I was doing that while I was working full time. And at the time I was doing a job that I didn't particularly enjoy. So I suppose I was looking for an outlet of something that I wanted to do. And please excuse the dogs. So then when I was in between jobs, so it's been sort of a downtime in Perth where we were. So I decided to set up the blog. I thought I had nothing to lose. So while I was looking for work, I set up the blog.
So when you say downtime, is that like recession, you mean? Or
yes, yeah. So
okay.
It hit Perth a lot later than the rest of the world. So they had a big iron ore boom, which kept us going. And then in about 2014, it all started, falling apart because everything had been constructed and, all the construction work was gone. So it was definitely getting to become a bit of a dog-eat-dog world in Perth, and every man for himself in terms of jobs. So.
I'm looking at you now, a very beautiful, petite woman working in the mining construction.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit like that. What was it like for a woman in that environment?
I'd say I never want to complain, but the reality is that it is hard work. I started my first role when I was 21, so people don't necessarily take you seriously. So, I think I've had to probably work a lot harder for things, but I suppose I've been quite resilient with my upbringing and what have you. So, and I just always keep putting my name forward and keep working hard and probably don't really listen to what the others say. So eventually you do find people that will be on your side and will look after you and bring you along on the journey. So my last job before I finished up for maternity leave, I really enjoyed that. And that was some guys that I'd worked with before and gave me the opportunity to take a key role in the project. So that was fabulous. But I mean, it took 11 years to get to that point.
Yeah, well done you. So resilience is something that we speak about a lot on my podcast show. But a good grounding, I guess, or character building for setting up your business.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I've worked in small mining companies and large mining companies. You see how the whole business works and what they need. And the smaller businesses, you have to, just do everything. Even if you're a commercial manager, you might have to, I don't know, occasionally go to the post office or make someone a cup of tea or whatever it might be. It's just, I never like to hear that's not my job.
Yes.
It's not how I work. So definitely a good stance to do whatever I decide to do in business, I guess.
Yeah. So getting back to the blog now. So you gave up your full-time job to set up your blog?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
So when we moved to England, I was 20 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
So
just about let you on the flight, I guess.
Yeah, it just seemed like a good idea at the time. Thankfully, I carried very small, so I don't think people could even tell that I was pregnant at that point. So I continued to work remotely for my company pretty much right up until I had my daughter. So we had some key contracts that needed to be finalised. So I was able to do that remotely, which worked out really well. And then, they were going into construction from that point, so I had to let the job go. And then, I mean, I probably could have been back at work after 3 to 4 months after you're out of the baby haze. But the reality of being here, we've had lots of visitors. My husband's been working a lot. So I haven't really pursued a role, and there's not a lot of mining in York.
Yes.
So
there's a lot of digging sometimes.
Yeah. So I decided I would crank up the blog again, probably about August last year when I put Mackenzie into nursery. So I've really been focusing on that over the last sort of 9 months to try and make something happen with it.
Yeah. And how's it going?
It's going well, I think. So it's all slow and steady process, isn't it? Nothing happens overnight. Yeah. So traffic's definitely increasing and the social channels are getting more followers and slowly getting little bits of money in. It might pay for a coffee a month if I'm lucky. Okay. But it all has to start somewhere. And if you look at the successful bloggers, they've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now, I think. So hopefully if I can follow in their footsteps and make something of it, that would be great.
As you know, when I first met you, you were the first blogger I've ever met. And I'm just intrigued by the title as well, Wander and Luck. So tell us about how you came up with the title, the content idea. What's that about?
Originally, when I set it up, so I think we got cut off before by the dogs. Yeah, I was in between jobs, set up the blog name. Now, I had the Wonder and Lux is a play on Wanderlust. So Wonder being travel and then Lux being luxury items. So initially it was about luxury travel is where I was thinking and where my headspace was at. But now that I've had Mackenzie, that gives you lots of content creating ability, and I think people quite enjoy seeing us travel with a child, how we manage to do it, tips and tricks. I mean, she went to 12 countries in 12 months initially, so I like to think that we're starting to become a bit of experts in that area. So and that's how the name's come about. So I did consider whether changing it now that it covers motherhood as well, but I've always quite liked the name and the branding and things like that, so I've just decided to keep it the same.
Yeah. And why would people want to read your blog?
So I suppose my target market is women probably aged 25 to 45. They're quite ambitious in their careers. They like to travel themselves, like a bit of luxury in their lives, but also happy to, go to Primark and get a bike. So it's just, sharing tips of hotels that we've stayed at, what works well, products to buy, things like that. So, and hopefully it's just a bit of a 5-minute escape from your life as well. And you can think about holidays that you have been on or that you want to dream to go on. And just a bit of an escape, I guess, in the busy life that's full of lots of bad news these days.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got 2 very lively dogs. Mackenzie,
Yes.
who's now
She'll be two next month, yeah.
Terrible twos or delightful twos or both?
Oh, it's been hard work since she was born, to be honest. So
right, okay.
I feel once we can communicate a bit more, that maybe life will be a bit easier for us.
And a husband as well. So when do you make time to do your blogs?
So she goes to nursery 2 days a week now, and that was a conscious decision to focus on the blogging. During the week when she is napping, I sit down and do my work or create my social content and things like that. And then in the evenings, if Troy is away, I will sit down for an hour or two and do some work as well. So weekends are normally, family time or travel time, downtime. And in the evenings, if we're all home, then I struggle to do much work. I was the same even in my mining work. When I went home, it was shut down pretty much. Yeah. Everyone needs a rest. Yeah,
they do. So is it easy just to sit down and just write? And do you have to wait for the muse, or what triggers it? Or is it just about a matter of focus, discipline, and just get it done?
Definitely have to be focused and disciplined. And I think once you have a child, you realise how time poor you are. You've got to maximise those hours that you've got in the day. There's no, I'll do that tomorrow, because you've got a child to look after. Sometimes some of them are really easy to write and just, I can sit down and it's done. Other times, I can struggle for the motivation. So I think when you're recapping holidays and things like that, it becomes quite easy, doesn't it? So if you're writing what you know about, and I think it's the same with getting up for public speaking, if you know what it is, it's easy to be done. Yeah. It's when you don't know what you're talking about that it becomes difficult. Yes.
And so do you have to go on very regular holidays to provide this content?
I think it would definitely help. It would give me lots of ideas. But I think we have done a lot today already, and you can draw on lots of different things. So my best performing blog post is why you should travel business class with your baby. And I mean, that's just my thoughts, isn't it, that I've jotted down. But people are really interested whether you can travel business class and how it all comes about and how you should act and what have you. So you don't have to travel all the time, but it does help. And I mean, given that we're new to England, we could just go out to the Lakes District or something, and that gives me content. Yeah. Or, even popping to Leeds for a shopping trip is content for me.
Absolutely. It's a trip to Scarborough.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, and there's plenty in York, I guess, as well, because it's a great place for visitors to come. So
yes, and I've definitely been making my way through all the tourist attractions slowly.
Yeah, good. So in terms of blogging, for anybody listening who's actually interested in blogging, what would your advice be?
That's a good one. And I don't think I still definitely haven't nailed the blogging aspect of things. I'd say probably just get started. If it's what you want to do, just don't put it off or overthink it. Just the reality is you're not going to have a big audience to start with. So I've read many things that say it's probably just your mum and your best friend reading it, so it's fine. Yeah, there's heaps of resources. Do your research out there. You can probably get information for free if you want it. And just have a crack. Keep writing. Different things that you're interested in. It will come to you. There is a book that I read that I quite liked called The $1 Million Blog.
Oh yes, I think I've read that.
By Natasha Courtney Smith. Yeah. I think that's a good starting point as well if you're interested in doing a blog. It will give you a bit of a groundwork. People think it's all just about the writing, but there's a lot of background work that you need to do in terms of search engine optimization and the website and hosting a website and advertising, photography, all those sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's the future of blogging? Are we going to get full up of blogs, or what do you think?
That's a good question as well, which I'm not too sure, to be honest. If in that book, Natasha said that there's still heaps of room, and they think that it's still a relatively up and coming area. So I think it's been popular over the past sort of 6 years or so. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about video content, and that's the way that it's going, that people are going to be more engaged that way. And podcasts as well, I think I don't know if it's just because I've started listening to them or not, but there seems to be a lot of around and a lot of good ones around, and that will probably supplement your blog quite nicely as well.
Yeah. And do you think, so people tell me that nobody's going to read your article or your post or whatever if it takes them more than 2 minutes. What do you think about that?
Yes, you might be right there. But then you read all the search engine optimization things, so that you can get onto page 1 of Google, and it says that it needs to be, 1,200, 1,500 words,
Okay. That's interesting.
People definitely skim over things, so I think it's important to have headings.
Yeah.
So I would say things to do with kids in Paris, for example, and then bullet points, so then they can at least quickly see. And I think it's quite important to have good photography on your site as well, because I'm notorious for just flicking through a magazine and looking at the pictures.
Yeah, it's a shame really, isn't it? Because, I love writing, and, I put a lot of thought into the words that I use and, the real detail of a sentence. And when people just skim over them, it's, Anyway,
I think, but personally, I still notice if something's written badly or, the grammar's not right, so even if I am skimming over it, I think, so. 5
years' time, what do you see the future of your business? Have you got a plan or a vision, or are you just taking it as it comes?
Taking it as it comes, because I don't even know where we'll be at that point.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I think I couldn't have even forecasted a career, my mining career, I couldn't have forecasted where I really wanted to go with that back then. And, jobs change, technology changes, all those sorts of things. So I think it's, good to have goals throughout the year and record where you're going, keep track of things like that. But I think it's hopefully the start of something, and we'll see what opportunities present themselves, and we'll see from there.
Excellent. So no aspirations to return to mining and construction?
Look, I'm still 50-50 about that.
Okay.
If we went back to Perth tomorrow, I would probably just go and get a job straight away.
Right. Okay.
But it's because it's what I know.
Yeah.
So if a job presents itself to me here in England that looks great, then I wouldn't be opposed to taking that either. But
so it's taking the opportunities as they come.
Pretty much just trusting the timing of my life at the moment and see where it takes me.
Excellent. And for women out there who are maybe feeling a bit stuck in a man's world and thinking about setting up by themselves, doing something, what would you say? What would your one piece of advice be to them, Shelley?
In terms of setting up something themselves, do you think?
Yeah.
And I guess it depends. Yeah, financially, everyone needs to be able to support themselves as well, don't they? So if you've got mortgages and bills to pay, you're not just going to throw it all in to go for a dream that you've got. So it depends on your responsibilities and what have you.
Yeah.
This opportunity for me, it's something that I've always been interested in, and the timing's just come about. So I think if you've got a good idea, have confidence in it, learn your elevator pitch and how that's going to work. If you need to still be working, then, try and do your hustle at night time or on the weekends. I think if you're passionate about it, enough about it, then it will come about or work in due course. So it's a complicated question that I could probably spend a whole podcast talking about, of whether or not you should do things.
Yeah,
but,
maybe we'll do that one day, actually.
Yeah.
But I love that, because a lot of people just say, just do it, and you've taken a more measured approach, and actually we do have responsibilities, don't we?
Yes, so, and I'm probably quite risk adverse when it comes, and so that's why the blogging helps me, because it's not a huge financial commitment, rather than setting up, a physical shop or a business where I need to buy a lot of products. So it still does have costs for your websites and hostings and cameras and whatever you might need, but it can all be staggered as well.
And what about the qualities that you need for instance, that for your business?
Good communication skills are always right up there, whether they're written or verbally. Being confident when you present yourself. So I've always dressed up when I go to work, always wore my heels and my makeup and everything, and you just come across more professionally. Even when I go to bed, my pyjamas will match. I think it's just
that's cool.
Just presenting yourself, and putting up your hand for opportunities. I don't know if you've read Lean In by the COO of Facebook, Sheryl Sandberg, and she talks about leaning in, putting up your hands for opportunities, saying yes. And other podcasts and books that I've read as well, they're saying whatever opportunities present themselves, just say yes. Go along to those networking events.
I love that.
And you don't know who you're going to meet.
That's fantastic. Great sound advice. A great place to end our conversation. Thank you so much, Shelley, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
What I really loved about my conversation with Shelley is her thoughtful, measured approach to life. She says, if you're passionate enough about it, then it will just come about and work in due course. She's very relaxed in her approach to life, and I love that. It's just about taking the opportunities, she says, sticking your hand up to opportunities. And that's what she's done, and that's how she lives her life. And I just really love it. It feels so confident and positive. So after our conversation, I was inspired enough to actually look up something about seizing opportunities. What have previous entrepreneurs, famous people said about seizing opportunities? So I'm just going to read some out to you that I found just by Googling this. Opportunities are like sunrises. If you wait too long, you miss them. That's from William Arthur Ward. Opportunities? They're all around us. There is power lying latent everywhere, waiting for the observant eye to discover it. Orison Swett Marden. Opportunities, many times, are so small that we glimpse them not, and yet they are often the seeds of great enterprises. Opportunities are also everywhere, and so you must always let your hook be hanging. When you least expect it, a great fish will swim by. That's by Og Mandino. And then, I love this one. Most people miss opportunity because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work. That comes from Thomas Edison. Or one from Albert Einstein. In the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity. And I love this. This is what Shelley was talking about when she was mentioning that as the mining industry that she was working in Australia was going into recession, she had taken an interest in travel journalism and trained for a course. How often do we miss just these things that present them to us and miss them and let them go by? It's just about being present, I guess, and just watching and waiting for these things to arrive. Ralph Waldo Emerson, who's full of famous quotations, he says, every wall is a door. I love that one. And then Emily Dickinson, a great American poet, she says, not knowing when the dawn will come, I open every door. Love that too. Actually looking for opportunities. Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, he says, your big opportunity may be right where you are now. I often say to people, I quote this to people because I've learned this myself. The thing that you're most afraid of is probably the key to your success. It's quite similar to Napoleon Hill's quote there. So what is the thing that we're most afraid of, that thing that's sitting underneath the rock? If we turned it over with our toe, what would be underneath? And actually, if we embraced it, would be the key to our success. I had a great quote that I found in a magazine at the weekend, and I just cut it out, and I've been looking at it ever since, and it just says, make fear your friend. And I'm just thinking, that's really interesting. I like that. Anyway, more quotations here on seizing opportunity. Mahatma Gandhi, he says, the future depends on what you do today. Milton Berle, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. So actually creating space for opportunities. And then Francis Bacon, a wise man will make more opportunities than he finds. So that's about actually proactively making opportunities than just occur to you. And the last word has to go to Jim Rohn, who we love. He says, opportunities and success are not something you go after necessarily, but something you attract by becoming an attractive person. I love that. And Shelley is an amazing young woman. A young, vibrant Australian, coming over here, pregnant when she came over here, just taking opportunity as she comes, but just being such an attractive person that we're all attracted to her and want to talk to her and find out more about what she does. So if you want to know more about her, what she does, you need to check out her blog, which is at Wander and Lux. So it's Wander as in WANDER and A&D, Lux, LUXE.com.au, because she's Australian. And I really hope that you enjoyed listening to this podcast and go on and explore more about Shelley Whittaker at Wander and Lux. And thanks for joining me. See you next time. This has been your Ross Jones Bold Business Bits podcast show. If you'd like any further information about anything we've discussed today, please just get in touch. go to businesscoachingyorkshire.co.uk. Please join me again next week when I'll be speaking with another phenomenal female business boss with bold business bits. And remember to subscribe to my show. Thanks for listening.